Hey everyone, I'm Evan Strand. I'm a senior at Telluride High School, and my internship was at the Scripps Research Institute in La Jolla, California. And so within Scripps, I was working specifically at the Dorse Neuroscience Center with the Yi Lab, and I was fortunate enough to, at the Yi Lab, they were designing jackets with the logo, with that logo right there that they just created this year. And so they made jackets, which is good for me here in Colorado, not so as much for the people in California, but. And my mentors were Dr. Yi Lee, who is the professor of the lab, Niraj here, who was my main mentor that I spent time with, and he has a PhD in biochemistry. And then there's Alan, who was an undergraduate who I spent a lot of my time with. All right, and so my main research project was testing the effects of different chemicals and different types of food, so normal food and fatty food. And so we are testing mice, how much they ate and how much weight they gained. And then with that, we measured how much food they ate turned into their body weight. And so over there, you can see some of the healthy mice that were very active and could climb around their cages and all that. And here are the fat mice, which there was originally 4. Unfortunately, 1 passed, but they are not that healthy and could barely move. And with my research, we did multiple tests. I did ITT and a GTT, which stands for insulin tolerance test and glucose tolerance test. And so with the insulin tolerance test, we injected the mice with insulin, and then we tested their blood glucose levels with this blood glucose meter with these glucose strips that we just got from CVS. And yeah, we injected them with insulin and measured how much their glucose levels over a period of time. And with a GTT, we did that, but with glucose. And through these tests, we were able to determine if the mice were diabetic or not, which was a big part of our research. Which was a big point of the experiment, was trying to find a cure and preventing diabetes and obesity. And some of the research equipment I learned was this right over here is the fiber optic surgery table where we attached this little kind of knob on the top of the mice's head, which we nickname unicorns with their little horn. And so with those, we can use it to measure real-life data within the mice in our experiments. And I also learned the vibratome, which is used to cut mice's brain into thin slices, which can be seen under a microscope. Some of the surprising things I learned was, with research, time is the most valuable resource, and timing is everything. So you're taking measurements every 30 minutes or every hour, and you have to be there on time. And also there's multiple experiments going in the same lab, so you're working on multiple experiments, but then also there's other people working on their own experiments. So it can kind of get a little chaotic. And also, it's fun to see how mice interact with each other and how different hormones of the different sexes of mice can have a great effect on an experiment. And also all the ethical procedures that are in place for taking care of the mice. So my advice for future Pinterns is to plan ahead. I was lucky enough to do the same internship as Ayla Kanow of last year, and I was so maybe just like just scroll over previous Pinhead internships and look for something that you might be interested in, and also try to have like available housing and transportation. I was lucky enough to stay with some family friends, and I was able to get a car down to San Diego. But yeah, it's really important. And remember to ask questions. You aren't an expert in any of these fields, but luckily you are working with experts. And also be mindful of the space, because you might be working with other people and you don't want to mess up their work. And outside of work, some of the activities are lab at the professor's house with where we played Spy Party, which is fun, but it can get interesting when you have a bunch of people where Mandarin is their primary language, so it's kind of hard. Then also I spent time with my host family a lot. I went whale watching a little bit, and also on my own I went to Torrey Pines State Park, which was right next to where I was staying, and the family I was staying with had a state pass, which allowed me to get into the park for free, so that was nice. And a huge thanks to Sarah Holbrook and everyone at Pinhead, everyone at the Doris Neuroscience Center, everyone at the E-Lab, the Wentz family for letting me stay with them, and my parents for getting me there.
Thank you.